GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
SRW India வழங்கும் தொழில் முனைவோர் கண்காட்சி இடம் சென்னை ட்ரேட் சென்டர்.
Join the team. Which values you and your thoughts? Hiring now.
Hello, Prashanth Neel. Welcome to Galatta Plus.
Thank you for having me over, sir.
Thank you for having you. You're making Salaar. How can we not have you over? Now, your trailer, your teaser was released on July 8th, 5:12 a.m. And instantly there was this enormous explosion of theories that that's the time Rocky Bai died. Is there anything at all that you can say about this? There's no connection at all?
Absolutely no connection.
It's just like some random thing that somebody dug up on the internet and decided to
Yes.
put a fan theory out there.
I came to that realization that KGF was that big only after all these things happened, because I don't exist on the social media platform. I knew KGF had made a lot of money, so which meant that there was so much of love. But it turned out to be a frenzy after that, It was like people started comparing it to the tones that I had set in KGF, and they started drawing all these theories out. I think this came a long time before the teaser came out. I think about a couple of years back itself. They said that this must be from the universe of KGF.
Yeah.
It was my mistake that, I did not come out and say it loud enough. There's no part of Salaar that has a connection with KGF.
Right. But like you say, it's so big that people actually noticed that, like that in the most dramatic scene, the last thing I was seeing is the clocks on the ship, because I'm like, what's going to happen to Rocky Bai? He's like the Navy's coming at him and this and that, and somebody's noticed the clocks. That's how big the movie is, the detailing. The last time I spoke to you, which was, I think, no, I'm not sure if the last or the time before last, but you said one very interesting thing, which is that you came to films to make money and that it's basically bread and butter. I value that as a theory, but the kind of films that you make, the intensity that they involve, the work that it involves, years and years of time and effort and dedication. Surely if it's just bread and butter, you can make easier films, right? So can you admit that it's more than that to you?
It's not more than that to me.
It's still only bread and butter.
It is. It is. I mean, how else are you going to... the process of filmmaking from the outside might seem very simple because everybody has a mobile today and a cell phone. And
on the contrary, I'm saying it's so difficult.
It is.
Right.
It is difficult. And the time that we have taken is... I started Salaar a year before KGF released because we had that time. And I thought, I was done with the edit and everything else, and I had plenty of time in my hand. I shouldn't have done that at that point of time. And then the second wave came in. Prabhas sir had Radhesham for a release, and I had KGF. And we started to feel that, this movie has taken so much of time to make. But actually, we started the filming of Salaar, I think, last year, around about September. That is when we started filming. So now it looks like a smaller time frame. I think that was the only thing. But, the passion and effort, I think everybody puts into a movie. Everybody does it, whether it is a small movie, big movie, it does not matter at all. At the end of the day, I know that I'm making a movie to reach a larger number of audience. Now, if I start thinking that my friends have to like it, people that I know have to like it, then I will never make money. I make a movie because I have experienced something like that when I was growing up, going to theaters, and I try to conjure up all that memories and channel it towards making a commercially successful movie. So it is always about the money. It can never change.
It's not about the art.
The skill is something that you have learned.
Right.
Now, what are you going to do with the skill that you have learned? It should not be repetitive. People think that it is repetitive because of KGF and Salaar, the comparisons that they draw. But that is the skill that I have.
Right.
And nobody else is making a movie like Salaar. I know that. If I was making Mahabharata today, I know that Mahabharata or Ramayana, I know that many other filmmakers are making the same thing. But nobody is making a Salaar today. Nobody is making the kind of movie that I'm making. So I'm giving something that the audience is not going to get from somebody else. I'm sticking to that skill for as long as I can do it, and it is always going to be the money. The fame comes with the work that you have done. I would rather be known as a KGF director than Prashanth Neel. I would rather be known as KGF and Salaar director than Prashanth Neel, as long as people recognize that he has done some work in the past, so I can trust him and go to the movies. That is enough for me.
What I'm trying to say is there is an artistic side to movie making, right? That what you call the skill,
Yeah.
doesn't that get fulfilled as well?
It does. The appreciation comes. I'm not looking for appreciation from any other corner. I just want people to go to the theaters,
Buy tickets and
buy tickets, and love the movie
Right.
that they're watching. Come out with an experience. And the high of watching a mass movie in theaters and getting it right. I don't know if I've got it right, but getting it right, there's nothing else, there's no bigger euphoria for me
right.
as an audience.
Right.
There is no bigger euphoria. That doesn't even come from a cricket match for me.
Right.
So I'm trying to replicate that.
Right.
So there's no other side to it.
There's no other side. Okay, got it. When one looks at your interviews, the phrase larger than life keeps getting used a lot, either by the interviewer or or by you. Why is this phrase such a constant for you? Why is that something like a mantra for you, like that larger than life thing?
For the subjects that I have taken, it has to be.
Okay.
It comes with the conviction of having a balanced human emotion running through the movie. The hero has to be a son, he has to be a father, or he has to be a brother. It cannot be that, he's alien to you. So, the relevance of making a larger than life movie only comes from it being grounded to a level where you can sort of relate to him or her. So, larger than life, I think we pick it out to say this is larger than life because of the kind of backdrop that we want to set
Right.
our stories with. Nothing else changes with something like that. And larger than life is, I don't see that larger than life is what I'm trying to sell. Larger than life is just the backdrop of
Right.
what I'm trying to sell.
Right.
The drama is what I'm trying to sell.
Let me speak as an audience member. For me, when I see a KGF, thrill that I get from that movie, we all dream of becoming very rich, and we all dream of saying fuck you to the system and getting our, one in a weird Amitabh Bachchan kind of way, trying to kind of, anti-establishment or whatever. But we never going to get close to that. But because there's a KGF, for those 3 hours, I can live that life and come back to whatever it is that I'm doing. That's what I'm saying. It's like that larger than life helps to sell that feeling, that euphoria, like you said, to a bigger extent. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Correct.
Am I putting it right?
Correct.
Right.
Like if you watched Ben-Hur, it's one of my favorite movies. If you watched Ben-Hur, if it wasn't set during the Roman Empire, during those times, I don't think that many people would have watched that
Yeah.
movie. Though the drama wouldn't change, it's a beautiful drama any which ways.
Yeah.
But just the setting makes it much bigger.
It's also a drama about brothers.
It's a drama about friends.
Friends, yeah.
Who are like
Yeah,
brothers.
Yeah, who are like, brothers and spread up, yeah. No, but I get what you mean, because in Ben-Hur, even though it is the dramatic line, it's enhanced by, things like the scenes in the palace, or that the chariot race, or the scene in the leper colony, or whatever it is. All these are things that you would not be able to set in a regular, probably in a regular times.
Correct.
Right. So that's what Khansaar is to you. It's like the backdrop against which you're setting a regular story.
Correct. I've said this before. I think I've said it in your interview that dystopia is what I am trying to achieve in a very sane and normal world that we are living in. I try to create something like that so that I can create bigger euphoria from it.
Right.
That is necessarily not a mantra of mine, but for me to tell these two stories, KGF and Salaar, I had to create a world like that.
Right.
And that world does not just come by chance, or it is not like, okay, I just put Khansaar somewhere in the middle of something. I have a lengthy explanation that runs for 1,000 years, and that's something that you will watch in the movie. And I think I've shown a little bit of it in the trailer also. So the identification of the place, the dystopia that I've created with Salaar is to enhance just the backdrop.
Right.
It's not to enhance the drama in any which ways. The drama will be heightened, obviously, when you look at visuals like that. But the dystopia is just to create a background for whatever the drama is.
Right. So when did you first imagine a world like Khansaar?
This was even before KGF.
Right.
But KGF was more easy to convince at one point. When I was filming my first movie, when I went to KGF, and I saw that there was a place like this. During that time, I think I was always captivated by showing a new world, a new place. And this has come from my father taking me only to movies which are larger than life. So I have not been too keen on making a movie in a very regular environment.
Yeah. To an extent, Ugram came there.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think it's just me being in that moment right now. It's not something that I look to for a permanent way of telling cinema.
Right.
But right now, I feel that it's a perfect backdrop for Salaar, for the drama.
Right.
in
No,
Salaar.
no, I'm curious about the details of it. Like, as in, did the story of two friends, did that come first? Or did this backdrop come first? And then you said, oh, I want a world like this. Now, what story can I tell in this world? Did that
The drama came first.
the drama, the
drama.
story of the two men came first.
The story of the two friends came
Two
first.
friends came first. Yeah. And then you decided, how do I
I wanted to make it bigger.
bigger, and what do I kind of this one,
Yeah.
and your kind of a thing.
Correct.
How does one create a world?
We look at references and try not to do it. Try not to be similar to any of those references. We try to create characters first. So when we create those characters, we will understand that, in Khansaar, we have tribes. The tribes are the ones who made Khansaar what it was for over 1,000 years. So when we talk about tribes, we have to start designing everything around how they have developed this world over the years. Who have they fought to keep this world the way it is? The design comes from that thought process. And when we say tribes, instantly we start thinking about what costumes they're going to wear. And even in a modern world, they would not want to change too much from what their culture was. We try to say that we try to think, or we thought at that point of time that will be something new to show.
Right.
Instead of showing somebody just dressed up in suits and walking around, what if they're dressed as tribals still, and still drive a Rolls Royce, or still have machine guns? What if they stuck to something like that? So the thought process was, the thought process, the definition of Khansaar came from it being a land of the tribals,
Right.
of these tribals, and what they did with it over a period of 1,000 years.
How did you think of the name?
Khansaar, it just came to me.
Like a dream or something like that?
I was just thinking I should name this place. And I didn't name it because KGF worked and I wanted another K there. I'm not superstitious, but it just sounded, when we were running through a lot of names, and we said, okay, Khansaar sounds like, that place sounds like Khansaar.
Nice.
So let's stick to that.
Right. So once you say, okay, the tribals are there and this and that, you sit with do you develop the world yourself a bit, or do you straight away go in and sit with your DOP, your production designer, costumer, all these people, and then say, do a brainstorming kind of a thing?
I sit with my writers first.
Okay.
So I have a couple of brilliant writers this time. Hanuman and Sandy are my writers for this movie, and we sat down and we started when I said tribals, and then everything started developing. They have to have kadiyas, they have to have a nose ring, they have to have all these things, and then it started developing from there,
Right.
So then we brought in our production designer and the cameraman, and we decided to put up sets and all of those things. It was designed to make it look like a primitive world, but still, they're as rich as hell. So what do they do with all that money, So the design basically happened very organically.
Right.
Over a course of about 6 months.
Right. Right. Now, one of the most striking things about Salaar is the color palette, which is like almost very suit kind of jet black, charcoal, those kinds of, if you're looking at color descriptions, those would be the kind of things you'd say. How did you and Bhuvan Gowda, your cinematographer, kind of tell me a bit about that jamming process, about what was it first like? Was it first like this, or did it develop to be like this?
So I said it in another interview also. The reason why KGF looks like that and why Salaar looks like this is because I have an OCD. I don't like anything with too many colors. I don't like to wear clothes with too much of color in it. I think it's just the reflection of my personality that comes on screen. One likes to shoot like that, but he necessarily does not agree with something like that. And I've started to realize that probably is a very good thing or it's a very bad thing. So I know that I've got a lot of comments where people said that, he can only make a KGF. He can only make a KGF kind of a movie. And this has not come from the opinion of social media, but people around me tell me that. So then I started to realize that, my OCD, my personality is seeping onto the screen. But the way we shot this movie, we wanted it to be gritty. Though it was starting to replicate a little bit of what I did in KGF, I still stuck with it because it was going with the drama of the movie.
Right.
I did not want to change it because I got an opinion that, it was looking like this.
You're talking purely looks-wise?
Only looks-wise.
Right, right. So that's why they were saying he's only capable of making a KGF kind of look, kind of a thing.
Correct.
Okay.
He likes everything with everything that looks dark and, murky and stuff like that. Just friends, family.
Okay.
But I did not want to change this particular drama. I think it should be shown in that gritty manner.
Right.
It keeps with the mood of the story.
Right. Now, a man promises his mother that he will make a lot of money, become a rich and powerful man. That's the very loose one line of KGF. If you were to give a very loose one line of Salaar, what would that be?
Two best friends will give their lives for one another, become the two biggest enemies. That's it.
That's what you
that's my line.
Put out. That's your line. Okay.
You can't fathom a situation where the two of them will turn foes, but they do in Salaar.
Right, right. And these are people inside Khansaar. You can't tell me all this.
I mean, they have everything to do with Khansaar.
Right.
The two of them.
Right, right. You told me that you wrote the story of Salaar before KGF, but it was easier to convince the producer about KGF. Looking back, do you find why the producer found it easier to connect to KGF?
No, Salaar, I always wanted to make Salaar. But after I went to KGF and I came back, that's the script I wanted to make first.
Oh, you wanted to make?
I wanted to make that first.
Right, right. So there were backers for Salaar even then?
They probably were. But I would have again made it as a small movie, to start as a small movie. I mean, KGF also was not a very big budgeted movie. Right. Back in 2018, it wasn't one of the biggest budgets going around.
Right.
So we had our restraints about what kind of money we were going to spend.
Yeah.
But that was not the reason I chose KGF over Salaar. It's just purely I wanted to tell something
Based on that.
based on KGF and that character.
Yeah.
Rocky came before KGF. So for me, it was about the character. And I wanted to tell that story
Right.
more eagerly than I wanted to tell Salaar at that point of time.
Right. Now, when you made KGF, it was obviously not planned as a pan-India movie. It was supposed to be a thing, and then midway through, everything changed and all that. So, but the thing is, when you started it, you kind of started it as a Kannada movie. Now, Salaar from the start has been envisioned as a pan-India movie. Was there any difference in the way you approached Salaar because of this particular reason? No.
No, I think
I'm not talking necessarily about the writing and all that, but do you think pan India, or that does not affect you at all?
it does not affect me. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I know that everybody will tell you that it will not affect you, but the difference that you're going to find is in the way the movie is going to be marketed.
Okay.
You know, the hero of Bahubali and the director of KGF are coming together will evoke some kind of a response from the audience. So that does not seep into the way that we are going to change the movie.
Right.
Salaar required X budget, and that's what we put into it. It's not because it's going to be a big combination that we spent more money into it or anything like that. That doesn't change the thought process. The drama doesn't change. Just that the accessibility changes. Obviously, you know, when you have a KGF behind you, you can convince more people to work in your movie.
Right.
Who might have otherwise not worked, like Prithviraj sir. So the thinking behind it being a pan-India movie is like a no-brainer. You know, you put in a KGF director, and I mean, from the outside, an audience will start to think like that, and they pressed on a situation like that. Apart from that, the way we thought had nothing to do with it, because you can't change the drama.
Right. The creative aspect is the same.
Yeah.
It's the marketing that brings out certain elements.
Correct. And I think pan-India movies have basically worked with you convincing your own audience first in a very, very big way. That has always been the way it has become a pan-India movie. You have to convince your drama or your emotion anywhere.
Right.
So you have to start from home. And we genuinely put in a lot of effort to make this a Telugu movie first.
Right.
That was my responsibility, to make it a Telugu movie first. And that is the way I approached the movie also. I did not say, okay, we are going to make a pan-India movie, because if I had to do that, I would have put a lot of stars from the Hindi film industry into this movie. I don't have that many stars. I just have Tinu Anand sir from representing the Hindi film industry. So it did not change our thought process at any given point.
So at its core, Salaar is a Telugu movie.
Yes.
That has been dubbed into 4 other languages.
Correct.
That's it.
No pretense.
No, okay. So I've spoken to certain directors who, one is the star aspect of it, that is bringing in certain stars to represent different things, that happens. But they also write certain scenes a certain way, thinking that this will appeal to a North Indian audience, or this kind of fight would appeal to this kind of a thing, or this kind of comedy might appeal to that. I mean, that kind of some calculation goes on. What I also want to ask you is, when you think so much about the audience and you want to deliver the best experience, euphoria, etc., after you write every scene, do you think, how will the audience react to it?
I'll just give you an example from KGF 1. After the movie came out and it got its response, many people have come and told me that they loved the bun scene. So that has nothing to do with scale. It has nothing to do with, an elevation. The way I see successful directors do it, and I try to mimic them, is I try to make the small moments in a movie work more than the bigger moments. I think that is what they'll take back with them. And in Salaar also, we put in a lot of small moments without all the graphics and without all the punchlines and all of those things. That is what we concentrate on doing, because we know we'll get our fights right, we'll get our punch dialogues right. the moments in between are the most difficult ones. And I think that is what is pan-India. It is not, the big fights, because everybody does brilliant fights. And today the audience have become judges, and they know that, they would have used rope for this, they would have done that, they would have done this. The one thing that they cannot take away from you are the small moments. They cannot judge you with that at all if you get it right.
Yeah.
All the movies that I have loved as pan-India movies, I have loved the small moments in them. And I know that a lot of people told me in KGF, when the mother comes and holds his hand when he's injured, they loved that scene. I tried to recreate a lot of those kind of scenes with Salaar, and I try to make sure that comes out right. That is the pressure on me, for me to get those scenes absolutely right. And I think I've got it right with Salaar also.
It's very good to see you confident like this.
Drama. Drama is always a difficult thing to do, but if you get it right, and I watch Salaar as a drama, and I know I've got that right, so that is why I'm pleased right now. I'm not ecstatic, I'm not over the moon, because like all other filmmakers, I've edited it 100 times and done post on it a million times. So I've lost judgment of the movie, but I have not lost sight of the fact that this is a drama, and I think we got the drama right.
Nice, nice. So when you say small moments, I'm remembering one of my favorite small moments from KGF 2, which is the comic moment, because when he's preparing to gun down the police station with that enormous, I don't know what it's called, like a bazooka, whatever it is, you could have just staged that moment as the policemen are inside, he's outside, and he issues a warning, or somebody's in a panic or something like that, and then he starts firing, and that would have still probably made a sequence. But what makes the scene really work is that boy serving tea. He first is okay with taking an udar, not taking the money. But when he hears about this, he rushes back and says, "Give me my money, give me my money, give me my money." I was laughing. And I think the juxtaposition of that slightly comic moment followed by this action, that just works beautifully.
I'm glad you liked it.
Right, because that's the kind of thing that's very hard to write, because it's like the big emotion is waiting with the bazooka, right? Now, if you're not just concentrating on that, you're giving me this little other flavor also inside the what's happening inside that police station. But I think that's why when two emotions collide like that, it creates something bigger.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm talking about, You create the smaller moments in between, all the mayhem that you're going to create, then it works.
Right.
It always works.
Right.
I've always loved movies with those small moments. In Salaar, that was the biggest challenge.
Right.
In the midst of all of this drama, we have to get those kind of scenes right.
Right. Now, tell me, today the audience has been exposed to so many action movies, right? They've seen all kinds of gunfights, they've seen all kinds of sword fights, they've seen Korean stuff, this stuff, that stuff, Mission Impossible, James Bond, everything. How does one go about creating a fresh action scene?
Action scenes individually don't work by themselves. It is why the action is happening.
Yeah, the emotion behind the action.
The emotion behind it, and why necessarily we all love to watch that 1 or 2 minutes before the fight starts. Why is that fight happening? And that is the real thrill of this. And it's a challenge to come up with a new reason every single time. You're right, the fights are getting better and better with everybody. Everybody is up to the mark with the fights, with the action sequences. But what really stands out is the reasons, the reasoning behind something like that, and the moments that you create even within a fight. That becomes a big challenge,
right?
Because you have fantastic action choreographers to come down and do the best action that you want. They take their time, and they bring in all the equipment in the world. But what makes a fight work is again those moments within the fight and the reasoning for a fight.
Right. You said earlier that the way you create a world is by looking at references and then ignoring those things so that you don't repeat the same thing. Do you do something similar for fights also by saying, let's look at all these fights and then remove all these cliches and then do something different?
Everybody tries to do that.
Okay.
Everybody tries to make a different fight, a different song, something that the audience hasn't seen before. We try and do that, but at the same time, we remember that, why is he fighting? Is it a brutal fight? Is it, a fight where he has to just break bones and not kill somebody? So we think about all those things, and then we start designing. And Anbar have done it this time again for us, and they've done an absolutely brilliant job. They understand. They always ask for the script as to why he's doing what he's doing. They want to know. They want to know that reason, and then they start designing something around that. So it becomes very, very easy with somebody like them. It becomes very, very easy.
So do you visualize these things?
We do.
Okay.
We do.
Like a previous kind of a thing?
No, I have not done something like that yet, because we don't have fights that we don't shoot fights for more than 5 days or 6 days. So if I had gone beyond that, then probably I had to do it. But otherwise, we're on the spot, and they show me what they are going to do on that particular day, and then we redesign. We sit down and we redesign it, and then we move on. It's as spontaneous as just shooting a scene.
Would you consider yourself a director who comes to the set, these are the shots I have to take for the day, this is how I want to shoot them? Or you say, I need to take 10 shots today, I think I'll be able to take only 5 because I want each one to be perfect?
I don't have a shot division. I never do a shot division. We decide that this is the scene, and I just start with one of the actors based on lighting. If it is controlled lighting that we do, then I have all the liberty to do what I want. But if we are shooting out outdoors, then Bhuvan will be very particular that we are going to lose our backlight. So then we have to rush through and try and finish our shots. We try and get our shots on time, mainly because of Bhuvan, that he's given us that liberty. Most of them are handheld shots, and we don't have to perfectly design them with with the Jimmy and all these kind of things. We've gone to a more traditional, primitive way of filming. I think that's what we did with KGF also. Just mostly handhelds and just steady cams and moving around all the time. So we never missed our mark with the calculation of how many shots we have to take and all that. We didn't miss it by a big mark. Even if we did miss it, it happened very organically. We never planned something like, we have to get this shot first, and then we have to move there, and then we have to do this, then we have to take the wides. We never did any of those things because of the sync that I have with Bhuvan. This is my 4th movie with him. So the sync that we have, we really don't have to plan that we need these exact shots, unless it is an action sequence.
Yeah. Now, when you look back at the KGF films, I know the audience gave it a lot of love, and that's what you wanted. But Prashanth Neel himself, is he happy with the KGF films?
Not at all. Not at all happy.
Okay. Not at all.
I don't know. I wish I can shoot the whole movie again. I don't know what I would have done differently with it, but I've never gone back and looked at my movies. I don't do it. Once it's out, I don't go back and look at it. Just a scene here and a scene there, somebody's watching it, and I'm standing and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh my God, I should have done this differently. That's all I think about, something like that. But I usually, if I'm given an option to think like that, then only I'll think about KGF, but I've moved past it.
Right. So I'm giving you this option. I want you to take either from KGF 1 or 2, one scene that you're very satisfied and happy about the way it came out, and one scene that you felt I could have done something a little better.
I think we got Rocky right.
Right.
But I wish I had put him in better situations, in more glorious situations. I already think we pushed the envelope with that. But still, I thought there was a lot of room for bringing out a character, because a character like that doesn't come with every movie. It was a very unique character. I'm very proud of that character and the way Yash pulled it off. That is my proudest part of KGF. I got the mother and son bit right, I feel. Everything else, I think the drama, the way I concluded it, everything, I wish I had done it differently. I'd done it, I'd put in more drama into KGF.
More drama.
I wanted to put more drama into KGF. Make it, it was limited. KGF was limited because you had such a greedy hero in it. Greedy in a very, very positive way, not a negative way, and self-centered. So I think that sort of did not let us write a big, strong drama. The places where we could put drama, we tried to put it, but otherwise we had to go on the character. The character was driving us to make KGF the way it was. I don't know what else I would have done, because I've sort of blocked it out of my head right now. But I would definitely do a lot of things differently.
Okay. Now, when you say like a greedy hero or self-centered hero, now it's changed a lot from. There was a phase in the 70s, at least in Hindi cinema and some bits of other cinema, the hero was allowed to be an anti-hero. He was allowed to do bad things. Then came a wave of clean movies that washed away this thing, and the hero was always this good guy. His only problem was love. He kind of hardly did anything else. I think now we're kind of seeing a return of that anti-hero who does all kinds of things that a typical hero should not do. Do you see this happening on screen?
Yeah, it has become a fashion now.
It has become a fashion now.
Yeah.
Do you think there is a sociological reason behind it? Do you think about that at all, or do you think it's just a phase?
It always has been cool that way, but I don't think people were experimental enough back then. You had, in 90s, I remember this movie which became the biggest movie for the Kannada film industry, Om. And the first scene of that movie is the hero burning a sari, lighting a cigarette from it. It can't get more bad than that. And we loved the movie. But when you say that there is the hero is bad, the reasoning is right for him to be the way he is. Or I think nowadays even that also does not matter, but it sounds cool.
Right.
It sounds like what the girls want these days, more than anything else. It is like that, it's like typical, I like a bad boy.
Okay.
Kind of a feeling. I don't know when that seeped into this, but
And you think that's what's driving this new wave of bad boy movies?
Everybody wants to play a character like that.
Okay.
The heroes want to play a character like that. The directors want to make a character like that. But I don't think they're doing it out of turn. I think they're all getting it right with strong reasoning. The movies that I have watched recently have all come out with a very strong reasoning for that.
Yeah.
It's not just, okay, he's bad. We're making him bad. We're making him, because I have some nice scenes for that. I don't think it is working like that. He has to, at the end of the day, you want to root for him.
Right.
And that is coming out right.
Now, you have this scene in KGF about storming the parliament. And something like that just happened now.
How did it?
Yeah.
I am not aware of that.
Okay, so you've been locked away.
Yeah, I've been locked away.
Not storming in at that scale, but basically there was a breach of security, and something happened at the parliament. Now, my question to you is: do you think that certain people are likely to be influenced by certain things that are seen in the movies that are negative?
I think if people were influenced by cinema, I think you would have seen 1 billion heroes more than anything else.
Okay.
I don't think the negative aspects matter so much. Look at what is happening around the world today. It's all real. we feel that cinema is an exaggeration. But if you see what is happening in Ukraine, if you see what is happening in the Gaza Strip, you know that we are probably underplaying it in our movies. The reality is out there. You know, violence is not used for us to say that violence is good. We always show a hero who uses violence to bring down the bad people.
Yeah.
There is a moral to it, right? Try and be a hero. You don't have to pick up a gun to be a hero. And we don't try to inspire. That is not my job to inspire. If I'm not here to preach. If your father and mother haven't done it for you, then I cannot do it. I'm not going to influence you. So if you tell me that I'm influencing a lot of the youngsters with my content, then you should see what is happening on the cricket pitch. People are swearing. And do you think that is fine? Well, nobody's pointing a finger at them. I'm
not pointing a finger.
No, I know.
Right.
I know that you're not pointing a finger, but it doesn't inspire. I'm not inspired by cinema for me to be in a certain way. Probably I'll change my hairstyle. From the right side, I'll pull it to the left side. Beyond that, I'm not going to do anything like that. Otherwise, we would definitely have a billion heroes if cinema inspired.
I read you say this, I will not begin a movie until I have the conviction. What is this conviction you're talking about?
The conviction is, before I got into cinema, and before I started making my first movie, my conviction was that I need to have 3 solid good songs, at least 4 good fights, dialogues, punch dialogues, and all of these things. That changed because every now and then you watch a movie which changes your perception that, okay, this kind of movie is working. KGF did not work for its dialogues, not only worked for its dialogues. You know, you take that back with you because you like the movie. I sit down and I say, I have conviction. I have the conviction that I'm going to convince you about this character and why he does what he does, or all the other characters. My conviction comes from I'm building a world for you, and I'm very sure in my head. I might get it wrong. I didn't get it wrong with KGF. I might get it wrong sometime, but I want to convince you with the world that I've created. So how am I going to do it? What are the things necessary for me to say? If I start by telling you a story 1,000 years ago, you're going to definitely listen to me, whether you like what I tell you after that or not. So the conviction comes from Khansaar is not, it's a mythical place.
Right.
But how do I convince you with something like that? So I convince myself first. So that's how the conviction comes out. And why is Deva? Deva is Prabhas's character name. Why is Deva the way he is? If I get the reasoning right and the scenes that I'm going to show you as to why he's quiet at one point of time and why does he do what he does after that. If I have that conviction for myself, then only I'll come out and I'll start executing something where I can present it to the audience.
Right.
So the conviction comes only from that point of view. For me to convince somebody else, I have to be convinced.
Right.
And I know that all the movies, 90% of the movies are fantasy.
Right.
Even if it is set in today's world. And it is a very, very difficult thing for us to convince fantasy.
Right.
Because we are seeing it through the eyes of many actors. And the actors in this particular movie, we set out and made sure that we got the right actors for us to convey a drama like this. Right. Drama is strongest. At the end of the day, even if you see something which looks stupid on the paper, there are many movies that have worked on screen purely because of the execution.
Yeah.
You know, and the actors, if they can't convince you that about the drama that is being played, then you're always going to lose.
Yeah.
There's no way. Even if you get your drama right on paper also, you don't have the right actors, you won't get it right.
Right. Now, speaking of actors, how much do you work on saying, I have Prabhas with me, I have Prithviraj with me, they're both famous stars, but I want them to be different in my movie. Is that something that you think about?
Yeah. I mean, that's a challenge for every filmmaker.
Right.
to present, to make the hero or the actor instantly become a character.
Right.
We don't want people to come in. Of course, we want them to whistle and howl.
Yeah, because
when
they're
they come
coming in to see the star.
Yeah, they're coming in to see the star. But we have that limited space, in those 15 minutes, they have to think about the character name more than the name of the actor. We do all of those things. We put their names out, we put everything out, but then we try and make them that character as soon as possible. So the best way to do that is to immerse them into the drama. Put in a scene where drama is unfolding. Try and make sure that you blur those lines between them being the star of the movie and being the character name. So we do put in a lot of effort.
Let's say, Prabhas, you're doing a high-speed shot. Let's say he's coming in slow motion, and or even the first scene is revealed or whatever it is. It's partly also for the audience, right? Because it's like it's partly the reveal of the character within the movie, but it's also kind of breaking the fourth wall and giving the audience a euphoric moment.
Correct.
So, see, even 15 years ago, when a movie was being made, a large part of it was under wraps. And people, okay, maybe they knew that this person is starring in that movie, whatever it is, but there's not much information about a movie that came out. And people went in because a trailer made them curious or whatever it is, right? Now there's so much information about stars, about movies. Now it's not just Prabhas. It's like Prabhas is now going to act in this movie. Next, Prashanth Neel is going to make this movie. Next with Junior NTR or somebody else or whatever it is that he's going to make. But Prithviraj is going to this thing. Salaar 2 has not started shooting something. It's going. There's all this noise out there, and to remove all that noise and just focus on that movie alone, that's a tougher job for you, right?
It's an easy blend.
Okay.
It's an easy blend. You give everybody the high that you're introducing the hero. As soon as possible, you have to move over to blending him within the structure of
Within the movie, right.
of the story. The sooner you do that, the sooner they would have enjoyed him for that brief moment and moved on to seeing what character he is in the movie.
So if I'm understanding this right, the first time they whistle, it's for Prabhas,
Correct.
but the fifth time they whistle, it's for Deva.
Correct.
That's the
Absolutely. Well put.
That's the logic.
Well put.
Okay. So that's the aim of the writing.
Correct.
Right. Okay. So now everyone knows that this is Prabhas's film, and that's how it started. Like you said, the star of Bahubali and the director of KGF getting together. Now you bring Prithviraj into this movie, and he's a big star as well. How did you blend that persona into this?
So we needed an actor. More than the star and everything else, we needed a phenomenal actor for Varadwaj Rangan. And the friendship that we wanted to show, and them turning into enemies. We wanted somebody that translated to have that love and that hatred. For a long period of time, we were thinking, who should we get, right? A lot of suggestions that we should do it we should bring somebody from the Hindi film fraternity. There's one name that always popped up in my head, but I thought I was dreaming too much at that point of time. I wanted Prithviraj to be in it. And we pursued him for a period of time. I thought he was not going to do the movie after listening to the script, but he absolutely loved it.
Why did you think that?
Because he's a star. He's a very big star from the Malayalam film industry. And he's not playing second fiddle in this movie, but at the same time, you know how it is.
Yeah.
The hero.
The perception is different.
Yeah, and to do many of the scenes where literally the hero is doing everything. Deva is doing everything. That I think was going to be difficult for me to convince him. He loved the script. And I started realizing very fast that, he's thinking like a director. He was enjoying the scenes that I was telling him. He was loving the scenes that I was telling him about Prabhas, about his entry and everything else. And soon I started to realize that, I probably can convince him to do something like that. We had issues with the dates and everything else. And then he came in and he's absolutely colossal. He is probably one of the biggest reasons, apart from Prabhas sir, that I'm confident of the movie today. Not just because of his screen presence and his acting and everything else, but he was like the most perfect assistant director to a director. You know, the kind of suggestions that he made from a creative point
Right.
was absolutely brilliant, and I can't thank him enough for doing a Salaar. And Salaar is definitely about Prabhas and Prithviraj.
Right.
Salaar cannot be without Prithviraj. I've come to that conclusion after watching the movie.
Ravi Bastur is again somebody that you work with all the time. A Malayalam director once told me that they had two choices to go with a particular film. One is to be very silent, which is because it's that kind of a movie, or one is to go completely opposite to that and to give a big score, because that would be a contrast kind of a thing. They went for the big score, but the reason was also that they thought that silence with our audience does not sit well. That our audience gets very fidgety when you give them silence. They always need music. What are your thoughts on music?
That is also something that you have to do spontaneously.
There are no rules.
There are no rules for that. You know, the silence will only complement the music. We've consciously done that with Salaar this time. And I'm liking it that way. That when you have the silence and then you have the music coming after that, music comes with a reason.
Yeah.
We're trying to enhance the emotion that the actors are already showing us. So music is not something that we design and say that, you know, let's do Hans Zimmerman or let's do a Kirwani. We don't think about stuff like that. Ravi Basur is somebody who particularly he sees the movie fresh and immediately he says, okay, let's do a lot of tongs this time. Let's do a lot of bells this time, because we have a tribal touch to it. So he said, let's do something like that. Let's do something different. But the very common thing is, let's do something different.
Right.
Let's do something different from what we have done first, and then let's do something different from what others are doing.
Yeah.
Currently. So that is probably the only design that we have when we're sitting for music.
Right. When you look back at KGF and the learnings that you had from that movie, because I'm sure logistically or something else you must have learned something, right? Can you tell us maybe one or two things that you were able to apply on Salaar? This also being a big, like a mega production.
I learned certain things from KGF, but I'm again revisiting them again in Salaar. It's like revising the same mistakes again.
You're making the same mistakes.
I am making the same mistakes. You know, the best way for you to judge your movie is only after it is completely ready, after DTS, after putting the sound and the dialogues and the music, you put them together. That's the best way to judge your movie. You might not change 99% of it, but even that 1% you're always going to regret, because you're going to put it out in a week's time. So that's something that I thought I was always going to do, but we didn't have time this time. Again, I got myself into a messy situation, but I'm very happy with what we have done. But I probably should have done that.
Right.
Just to see it one time completely from the beginning to the end.
Right. Why is it that Indian productions, almost all of them, and almost all the mega productions, with big stars especially, why do people keep working till the very last minute? Because I'm just truly trying to understand. In Hollywood, the music is done 6 months in advance. Everything is done like at a particular stage. Nobody works more than 10 hours. What is it that what is the thing here that prevents that kind of a
My
system?
producer asked you to ask me this question.
No.
I'm very sure.
No, I don't even know your producer.
It's probably because we're allowed to do it, we do it. If you ask me 3 months back, the version that we had, was good to go or not, a lot of people around me will tell you that was good to go. Because we have the time to work till the end, till we put it up in UFO and cube, on the satellite. Till then, we have time to work. So we constantly try and work right till the end because we don't think it is a finished article. And I think if we are not allowed to do something like that, I think we will work the same amount of hard work that we are doing from the past 10 days that I'm doing. I would have done it 3 months back.
Right.
So it is a mindset.
But then, the famous saying, right? A film is never finished, it is only abandoned.
It's like giving your daughter away for marriage to a stranger. We always feel like that.
Why stranger? Their audience, they love you. They love you for your...
But you always think that, you could have done better.
Right.
You have 1,000 people working in a movie. It's like you couldn't have synchronized that perfectly every single movie. There are some directors who do it, and I'm not in the same class as them. But the communication that you have with every single person to get it right, and I'm not complaining because I've got better than what I had anticipated. But there are a few areas that, you feel that you should have done a better job. Because only after everything is ready, you're willing to put yourself in the shoes of an audience and watch it. Until then, you're only trying to fine-tune everything.
Right.
The dialogues, the music, the effects, the CG's not come out right. The TI could have been better, the color could have been better.
All that.
All of those. Yeah.
Now, there are two schools of directors. One that go out and watch every single film out there, at least in their language, because they want to know what the audience is responding to, at least the major ones. There's another one that says, I don't want to watch any of these films because if I see a bad movie, I get very depressed. That if this person, great director, can make this bad movie, then I'll get it'll mentally affect me. And second thing is, I really don't like to see the same amount of thought, effort, everything is going into that movie, and it turns out to be bad. Then what are the chances? They feel that they could have a negative repercussion on them. Is Prashanth Neel any one of these categories?
I'm in the category of, I watch every action movie. I love action movies.
What
If
is
it
the
is
last one you watched?
What is the last action movie I watched? I haven't watched anything for 6 months.
Okay. It's probably Mission Impossible or,
Yeah, I watched a Mission Impossible.
or Indiana Jones or something like that. So,
I watched a Mission Impossible.
okay.
That was my last movie. The only thing that I don't try and watch is a very well-made movie that everybody appreciates, and it is not action. Because then, if I watch it, like I watched Kantara, and I was like, what the hell am I doing making action movies? Why can't I just sit down and just make a good movie? Just because there is a beautiful subject. So Kantara is one of those movies that reinforced that thought process in me that I'm not going to watch another movie like that again. I mean, I'm absolutely in love with Kantara. And it makes me bleed inside for me to think that, I am making commercial cinema again and again and again, with
You're
hero
contradicting yourself. You said bread and butter.
yeah, that is the reason I go back and I say, okay, now I'm not going to watch movies like that because I'm not going to get money out of that right now because I can't make it as well as they're making it, as well as Rishabh makes it at least.
So there is an artist inside you that wants
I definitely want to.
Right.
I definitely want to make a movie that I definitely want to make the very definition of movie, storytelling.
Right.
I want to do it someday, but not now. I have kids to feed.
and you have big stars waiting to work with you.
You're only as good as your last movie.
Right.
So,
This is a very naive question, and I kind of know the answer, but I just want to know what you think of it, right? Now, you have, like you said, Bahubali star in your movie, and you have Prithviraj. Now, these are going to be a big attraction in themselves, right? Is it possible today to mount a big movie based on very good actors who are not possibly stars?
100%.
It is possible.
That's how KGF 1 happened.
Right.
That's
But
how
Yash
Bahubali 1
Yash is
happened.
not an unknown star.
No, but he was unknown for the world outside.
But you
For the rest of the
right,
states.
Right.
But if you're telling me within Karnataka you wanted, if I was to make a movie today with, it has worked. It has always worked. That's how stars come out.
Right.
That's how big directors are born.
But today the movies are bigger than ever, no? Like in terms of like the money that goes into them, the publicity that goes out on them.
So there is an organic way of doing it. You bide your time, you make the first movie work. If you're doing a second movie, if you're doing a franchise, then it multiplies the next time.
Nice.
So that's how all the movies have worked.
Right.
The bottom line is that you make a movie which is good first for your own people, and then it has to multiply from there. And there have been thousands of those examples that we have seen. I wouldn't have probably watched some of the movies from another state if it didn't do well there.
Right.
Like back in the 90s, I don't understand Tamil till now. It's one of my biggest regrets. But I wouldn't go out to the theaters to watch a Bombay, or I wouldn't go out to watch Roja. I wouldn't do all those things. If it didn't work and it didn't do so well there, I wouldn't watch it over here myself.
Right.
So you have to bide your time. You make your name first, and then you make the money.
Right.
The money does not come without the name.
Right. What can you finally tell us about KGF 3?
KGF 3, yep. The only thing I can tell you is that we just didn't put up KGF 3 at the end of KGF 2. I think we want to take a break. We wanted to take a break and do something else apart from KGF, because we've been with it for 8 years. And I'm very happy that, I moved over and I'm telling another story now. And Yash is very happy doing his next movie. We'll definitely do KGF. It's because of, it is easy money. KGF 3, like I always talk about money, it is very easy money. It has to come at a time when, we are excited to make that movie again.
Right.
It's not like, we want to make it, okay, because we want to make that much of money. I think we're capable of making, I think I'm capable of making money through other movies. Yeah. And I just need that excitement of doing another story. And of course, we are excited to do KGF 3. We just wanted to take a break. I don't think I have a date for that.
Right.
That's a call that Vijay Kirikandur and Yash will take at some point, and we'll definitely make it.
Now, with Salaar, you finished the first part, and we're going to see it soon. And now there is a second part, which have you shot a bit of it or nothing at all?
We haven't shot.
We haven't shot. So it's like completely remains to be shot, right?
Yes.
Ideally, how much of a gap would be the maximum that you can give between a movie and its sequel?
Again, there's no set rule for something like that. The first one has to do well.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. People will wait. The best example that I can give you is Gadar 2.
Yeah.
It came after 20 years.
20 years. That's actually more the exception that proves the rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is no hard and fast rule for something like that.
But anyway, looking forward to Salaar 1 now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
And I love the way you kind of keep bringing back the fact that this is a Telugu movie, because I'm going to tell the audience something that you told me with your permission. I'd called you for a particular roundtable, and you said, no, I would rather be in the Telugu roundtable because I want to be in a roundtable where the language of the movie I'm making in. And I thought that was very nice. That sentiment was very nice. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
SRW India வழங்கும் தொழில் முனைவோர் கண்காட்சி. இடம் சென்னை ட்ரேட் சென்டர்.
Join the team which values you and your thoughts. Hiring now.